So coming to Vegas, not know anybody, open up a practice was terrifying. And this is 2008, 2009, when the banks weren't lending any money. The crash just happened, and we had no basically history of anything, so no one took a chance. So we had to take money from family. So imagine you have 6 months of overhead to cover. That's all you have. That's it.
That's all we got.
And we don't have any kids. And so if I lost her parents' money or my parents' money, it'd be really hard to go home and be like, sorry. So we kind of took the athletic mentality is I want to be on the first string. I don't want to sit on the bench, which is obviously we're talking about being normal. And we need to make this work or else we don't have a plan B.
Welcome to the Attorneys on Accident podcast with your host, Joe Worth and
Ash Blackburn.
We've got amazing guests on today, Cade and Leslie Smith. They're in Las Vegas here, and they've got a chiropractic office that they own called Active Body Chiropractic. Cade Smith, allow me to introduce him. He is the individual that is responsible for this amazing physique. But he is the individual that got me into the practice of working out 6 days a week, strength training at the age of 40. I'm 47 now. And I've thanked Cade a lot over the years. My kids have already thanked Cade, but I'd like to thank you in person. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. It's been an honor training you.
Yeah, you tried
getting you where you need to be.
You tried to scare me those first couple workouts.
Yep. I tried to see how serious you were about it. And you passed, which was not many people do.
Yes.
So,
how many people passed that test? Well,
many, man.
It's great to have you on. Cade played Division I college football at Utah State.
Correct.
He had his NFL career cut short due to a series of concussions. Is that right?
Yes.
And part of that process of going through those injuries and having your dreams not realized, did that lead you into the chiropractic field?
To a point. When I was playing football in high school, our athletic trainer was a chiropractor, and so every Saturday morning we would go to kind of do some rehab just from the injuries from the night before. And we would sit there and talk, and I really liked his philosophy about how the body works and like how it heals and everything. And so him being an ex-professional baseball player, I was like, oh, I like medicine, but I think there's a lot of alternatives that could be done too to help heal somebody. Because I'm not especially being a teenager, I wasn't big on taking pills or for pain or anything like that. And so I really liked his philosophy and how we can heal the body from like the inside out or the outside in. And so at 14, I knew I was going to become a chiropractor. It just depend upon like when that was actually going to go into become an actual reality, So after the NFL career kind of shut down is when I jumped right back into school, and that's where I met my future wife here.
Yes, and Leslie, let's not forget to introduce you. Leslie is also a collegiate athlete. You played tennis at the University of Toronto.
Correct. Undefeated for a year.
First year, yeah. Freshman, yeah. Rookie year.
You also did downhill skiing?
Downhill skiing, correct. Yeah, I traveled on the east coast of Canada and every weekend just skied downhill. And that's, again, I had an injury from sports and found chiropractic and I wanted to continue sports, and that allowed me to continue without taking surgeries or medications at that point.
And you were also Miss Nevada?
Mrs. Nevada, correct.
Mrs. Nevada 2021, not just a contestant, but you actually won.
I won Mrs. Nevada and
incredible.
Went to nationals, yeah. And I had my arm candy on stage with me, because it's a Mrs.
And your kids, it was so sweet.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. We got to give back to the community, do a lot of charity work, and involve the children as much as possible.
Yeah, and you've got two kids, Winter and Kason, and how old are they?
Kason just turned 14 and Winter is 11.
Okay.
So
are they athletes too?
They are.
Yes.
They are very, very artistic, but he plays hockey for the Golden Knights, and he also plays tennis for Faith Middle School. Yeah. And Winter is just signed on for travel volleyball, so we'll be busy.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, we've got several things that Ash and I want to explore and talk to you guys about today. We're going to talk about your chiropractic office, what you guys do, what you do differently than other offices. We're going to talk about misconceptions, misperceptions of chiropractic treatment, how it compares to the medical field. But what we really want to talk about and what I want our listeners to come away with, Ash and I, is this understanding that your physical health has to be your number one priority. And we can talk about, maybe that shouldn't be your number one priority, but I certainly feel that. And since I met you and you introduced me to the gym and strength training, and this idea that it's not just for meatheads or guys you see at CrossFit gyms and things like that. That as we get older, strength training is something that each one of us should be taking very, very seriously, and it should be a lifelong pursuit. And so I want to get your thoughts on that, and then also just how you manage to do it all with 2 young kids and sports, running a business. I'm guessing there's some secrets that you can share with our listeners.
Yeah, it's more like priorities, I guess.
Yeah. So how would you? Let's just jump into priorities, right? Let's just take the 3 categories.
Let me jump into this. Actually, I'm going to jump into this because Joe likes to really tout how important physicality is and being active and eating right.
Careful.
But I want our listeners to know that there was a time
I saw him
in the not so distant future that you were a big like pint of ice cream kind of guy.
Yeah.
You used to raid every office in our building to see if somebody had candy in their desks and be stealing candy. So
Bad. No, my dentist, every time I saw him, he would say the same joke. He's like, "Are you still eating Sour Patch Kids?" And I was like, "I told you that in confidence, 1 behind."
you're his favorite client, I guess. Yeah.
Right? But yeah, it's the candy, ice cream, all the stuff. But that should make my endorsement, that much more, profound, right?
Absolutely.
It's like
A human, right?
yeah, no, absolutely. And what I think is interesting is, I mean, really, Joe has said from, the time that he started working out with you that you really are the reason why he's changed his thoughts and his practices about fitness. What led to you reaching out to Cade?
Well, not to hijack this, but I do have to give a little bit of context to bring you guys into this. And I didn't, I swam in high school for a couple of years. I did look at the football players and the jocks as just a different species. Like, I couldn't relate to them. I thought weights that was for those people and not for anybody else, right? And so I kind of carried that fixed mindset for decades. But I was always kind of active. I found basketball in law school. I played for about 10 years, early mornings, and thought I was, an athlete because I played basketball. But looking back, I could have avoided ankle sprains, knee injuries, all kinds of injuries had I done strength training with the basketball. I would have enjoyed it at a higher level. But, through my 30s, it was a pint of ice cream every night, and my wife would look at me with disgust, and I would say, "You're a horrible person for judging me. This tastes delicious. What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And she was trying to bring me along and to eat better and be, have these healthier habits. And it just got to the point where I was starting to look in the mirror. I was starting to think about how I felt just in terms of just mental clarity. But yeah, I mean, you've heard the term skinny fat. Like I was the wrong kind of V shape.
I pointed after you, I think, when
it was
when you came over to my office and you kind of said, "This is what I'm dealing with," and I was like, "I know exactly what you're dealing with, man."
Yeah, and it stung and it hurt, but it did force me to go, okay, let's start this journey. And so I tried Orange Theory for about a year, and that was great.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I tried CrossFit for a year, and that was great until my shoulder injury. From those stupid tools they have you do.
Yeah.
And then I just started to read and get into the books and the podcast, and I came across a quote from my guy, Naval Ravikant, my favorite philosopher, and he's one of these tech, uber rich guys that it's just I really look up to. He's super smart. And to hear this kind of nerdy guy who just has read the entire library talk about on maybe it was Joe Rogan or one of his podcasts how he came to understand, drinking has no real upside, right? And how he felt. And Ash has talked about on the podcast before, like just, you don't feel good the next day, right? So he started to switch to red wine instead of alcohol. And he talked about his journey, because he's a super smart guy, to realizing that every single person needs to make physical fitness and strength training their number one priority. And so for him, he came across that later in life, but he has this quote that I love, which is forever fixed in my mind, which I'll paraphrase. It's, "My morning workout is so important that the world could be melting down and on fire and it can wait 30 minutes.
Yeah.
There's nothing that interrupts his morning workout, and it doesn't matter how long it takes him to do it. World can be on fire. He's going to finish his workout. And I just it hit me. It's one of those podcasts or, there's just some things that when the student's ready, the master will find you. Like that just hit me like a ton of bricks where I thought, okay, if this guy who I look up to is one of these smartest individuals out there, he's going, this isn't for the jocks. This isn't for this kind of person. This isn't for the body obsessed fitness freaks, right? This is literally for everyone. And if you make that your anchor habit, watch what happens to your life. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's I'll kind of explain how like me and Leslie kind of met, obviously. We met the first day of school and we had similar eating habits. We always wanted to work out. And so those kind of things really bonded us to become friends for about a year or so first before we actually started dating. Because even in our profession, there's still like unhealthy people and unhealthy habits. So
Right.
we live the life of, if we were going to teach health, we want to be the epitome of what that is. Because if I looked at somebody that was going to train me and they were overweight, I'm like, well, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't preach. You have to, practice what you preach.
What a novel concept.
I know.
Is this what you preach?
And so
We were paired up by our last names in Anatomy 101, day one.
Oh,
And
what a lucky little.
R and S are very similar in the alphabet.
I was 20, coming from Canada, moving to Orange County from Nova Scotia. It was a shock.
Yeah.
And he was sitting with a couple other big guys, and it was not love at
I
first
just
sight.
got out of football, by the way. So I was a
Not at all.
lot more bigger than.
And we're going to cut to a photo at this point of
You've seen
Lou-
pictures.
Yeah, you
You've seen
literally
pictures.
everything that
No
they
neck.
painted. He looks like the Hulk. He's
No
just
neck.
not painted green. He has no neck. Well, he has a neck. It's just
Yeah.
bigger than the rest of his body.
Yeah.
But his arms are about the size of Lou
My body.
Ferrigno
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
Hulk.
yeah.
So,
I was like, I want a new partner. I can't find bones on this guy. There's too many muscles. Like, no, thank you.
yeah,
I'm
you don't want to
next
hug
the
us.
chat.
That's ice sculpture.
We ended up joining the same gym. We went to the same place for lunch. Nobody else was there. It just, that's what he's saying is, we kept on finding these common bonds. So a year and a half later, we started dating.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what I want to know because you guys are coming into your early 20s, right? At that point in time?
I was 20, yeah.
She was 20. She was the youngest person ever to enroll in our school and the youngest person ever to graduate.
Okay.
Really?
So when she was coming from Canada, she could obviously drink in Canada because it's 18 and over. She comes to here, she can't drink.
I
She doesn't
couldn't
drink
go out with
anyway,
my
but
class.
still, it was like she couldn't even go out to bars because she wasn't
Oh my God.
legal.
21.
Which is kind of a crazy scenario, but
Yeah.
and I was 24 when I started and she was 20 when I started school.
And in my early 20s, it was a real shock to the system because my family didn't teach me nutrition.
Right.
They didn't. Working out was not something that was important. It was grades, 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 grades. So when I met Joe, actually, like I was going through a weight loss journey and lost a bunch of weight, trying to learn these things and very bad habits, right? How are you guys 20 and already in a gym routine? Like, what is in your background? Is that being athletes or?
Yeah, so my parents both played college sports as well. My dad played hockey. He played pro hockey as well. And my mom played basketball. And it was kind of something that, regardless who was in your home, what was church, all that kind of stuff, we always went to the park. We always had time. We lived a block and a half from a huge park. So I had two younger sisters and the family would always just be at the park going for a walk. My family still, everyone walks or runs daily. My other sisters, one went to college for basketball, one went for dance. So there was always sports in our life. The nutrition wasn't always there. My mom's from Prince Edward Island. It was meat, potatoes.
There you go.
And I stopped eating red meat and pork at 12, and that wasn't a thing back then. So that was hard. Nutrition.
12.
I said I didn't want to eat animals, and she's like, "You're an athlete. What am I supposed to do?" So here's a can of corn, literally, with the worst vegetable, but did not know.
Is it a vegetable?
Well,
I
not
was
quite.
nutritionally deficient.
Can of
Doesn't
corn,
have
but
seeds, but I think it's a fruit. But yeah, so I had a lot of bad habits with food as well, and the yo-yo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I had to learn that, whereas the activity had always been there. And when you're a college athlete, when you're done your sports, there's this wave that happens that you either continue because it makes you feel good or you just drop off. And so that's something that we were going through this high academic school. So I would get up at 5:30 and go to the gym before school.
But how would you
Again,
get
we were
there?
talking about. I had rollerblades.
Yeah.
I may have bummed a ride from him a couple times.
Do you even know what those are?
I do, yeah.
So I had I arrived and had rollerblades and a bike, and my bike tire got stolen day one.
Oh, geez.
Yep. So I rollerbladed
Bike
everywhere.
tire, not the bike. They stole the
No.
bike tire.
Just my tire. So
Welcome to California.
that might have, I was like, you're going to the gym, right? So I got a ride with him, or, you're going to our favorite food. I'll drive. So that's how I got around with all my books.
And I started, my dad was a foreman for a construction company. So he never really worked out. He played college football and wrestle, but then work started taking over for him. And so when I was 11, back then we didn't have what we have now at our fingertips. We had muscle magazines. That's about it. So I'd be in the garage at 11 years old, just reading, because I wanted to play football professionally. That was like my goal. And I was like, how do I get bigger? Nutrition was not a big thing back then. You just eat as much as you possibly could to kind of get what you need to do. So I was like, these guys look phenomenal to me. And I didn't want to be like that, but I wanted to kind of just learn how to grow in the process of going through like puberty and everything. And so from 11 to basically earning a college scholarship, I really understood the dynamics of what working out was. And when I got to college is when it really excelled, because, you really understand how the body works when you're going against 300-pound linemen and they're trying to kill you, you're trying to get by them. So you need to figure out a way to match power with power. And
Right.
I was never the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, but I always worked really, really hard to get where I needed to be. I'm not built to be a humongous person just by my frame. Joe's never going to be.
I would argue with that. But
Well,
But his parents.
when I have slender, like just compared to like people that I've been around, if you've seen some football players, they're very massive people. And I don't feel massive because I just, unless I'm around certain small people. But
Your parents told you to get to college.
yeah, so
He was the first one to go to
So I had a reason, right? So my parents grew up in California, or they lived in California, and they said, we can't afford to send you to college. And I was like, well, I don't want to live in this area. And so I had a reason to get out. And I said, I'm big, I'm smart, I'm fast. My brother plays football with me, which he played with me in college, which was amazing. And I said, I want to have an opportunity to advance my life, because living where we were living in California, I know that there was not a lot of opportunity once you graduate from high school.
That's
Right.
growing up in Beverly Hills. Yeah.
That was rough, what are my options, Joe?
90210, you got to carry that. Or,
that was a hard lesson I learned though going to college, because the exact opposite, right? Total nerd, graduated with like a 4.2 GPA.
Okay.
And going into undergrad, it was like, do you play a sport? Otherwise, you can't have a scholarship. And so that was really smart, and something I'm trying to do with my son too. I was like, play a sport, please, so that we can make college a little bit
What's he getting
more
into?
affordable. I hope baseball.
Okay.
I hope, yeah.
It's great for development for kids, just socially and just for adversity, to see how they respond when they're down and out, because some kids crumble and some kids, they rise to the occasion. Just depends upon how mentally strong they are.
sorry to jump in here, but so what you said about looking at the muscle mags starting at 11, right?
Yeah.
Working out.
It's in my garage by myself.
You were clearly an early adopter. If at 12, you're like, I'm going to discipline myself enough to not eat certain meats. That's was part of my hang up, was I thought, okay, well, that's working out is reserved for people like Cade and Leslie Smith, right? And I think Ash has discovered, I've certainly discovered that it's for everyone, right? It's for the nerds in the library, whatever you want. Like, it's for everybody.
Right.
And I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on the habits that you would recommend to friends who are like, okay, I'm whatever age, I see you two and the example you've set and what you've done with your kids in terms of they get made fun of for eating at Chick-fil-A, I understand.
No, they've never eaten Chick-fil-A.
I've never eaten it.
Well, that's the problem. Like Jack in the Box I get, but Chick-fil-A?
No.
Okay, we'll talk after.
Chick-fil-A.
They've done In and Out.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Because your mom comes and that's where she likes to go.
But also, I got into nutrition because I loved the biochemistry. I loved how it breaks down. I really enjoy that part of it. And having to try to figure out what to eat and, understand the breakdown of protein, fat, carb at its simplest, right? And so I think a big thing for us is our kids know what that is already at this age. Our daughter has a sensitivity to dyes and she breaks out in hives. So any of those Valentine's, Christmas, like Halloween, we just had, she can't eat it or else she gets flushed or hives all over. And so that has been easier to not eat those things. And I think our son is really starting, he's 14, so he's really starting to go along that path where it's important to him. I bought a little journal. He keeps it by his bed. And I'm like, he's actually filling it out. Yeah. Like it says, what did you eat today? And what's your breakdown and what's your goal? And did you make somebody smile today? And like little things like this, any new connections. It's just this little book I bought probably off Facebook, right?
That's
But he's
beautiful. You're teaching him intentionality.
Yeah.
Really
and
soon. Yeah.
yeah, and he's doing it.
You know, 'cause-
But I'm not telling him he has to. I just kind of like, here you go. But I think we're giving them the tools that you want to have a cookie, go for it. Have a little bit of chicken before, or have a little protein shake. Go enjoy it. It's not off limits, just like the fast food. If they wanted to, go ahead. Now, when my daughter gets presented a McDonald's hamburger, when she's used to eating like Red Rock's burger, she has no interest
Right, you know.
in that
Fair enough.
thin patty, right? Like, what is that? Or we make sweet potato fries and she's like it's fast food.
Yeah, right.
But if they wanted to go for fast food, go for it.
Well, and I think that's very profound because I know for me that I would think in extremes. Well, if I start working out, then I can never eat ice cream again. And if I start working out, that means that I'm going to be one of these people that can't enjoy vacation, and I've got to get up early. And you know, it's easy to judge those
Guilty
people.
too.
Feel what's that?
You feel guilt
Guilty.
as well because you know you're trying to set standards for yourself, but then you're putting restrictions on what your brain. As soon as you put restrictions on yourself, you're going to crave that restriction because someone's saying that you can't do that. You see, it's just human nature, right? You know,
Right. So what rule do you follow? Is it like an 80-20 with your family?
Yeah. So 80% of the time we eat very healthy, and 20% of the
And
time we
homemade.
eat and homemade, and then we eat whatever we want. You know, which has really kind of helped keep the dynamic stable. Because certain times you just want certain foods. You're like, I'll have it in and out maybe twice a year. I feel good, but then
Twice a year?
yeah.
I don't.
But then I get like,
I don't-
I don't feel good afterwards because I'm so used to eating healthy. I don't process sugar very well, you know? So, I mean, I've had the same breakfast for what, 10, 15 years, something like that, you know?
Probably 30.
Well,
I mean, probably knowing that.
I-
They're 19.
and I
Like,
told
it's
Ash-
longer than me.
but I told Ash the story before we came on today, which was as I started to work out with you,
Yeah.
I had the benefit, one, of an accountability partner. I think I told you, anytime you go to the gym, I made a rule. I'm gonna hop in my car and I would change on the freeway.
You did, yeah.
I'm trying to think if I
what?
had my seatbelt on. Yeah. No.
Of course.
But I would change on the freeway, go into the gym, and then change on the way back. No shower. Right. Come
Sorry,
back
Ash.
to the office.
Yeah, I know. Nice. Yeah.
But
Means a lot.
if he texted me, I'm going to the gym, and it's usually over lunch, I just got in the car and went and made that my rule. And then, so that was the first thing that happened was, okay, I'm going to go and work out. Then I got to sit and learn from you and ask you all the questions between sets. And I said, what do you eat? And you said, I eat the same thing every single day. What is it?
I eat oatmeal and blueberries every morning.
And egg whites.
Right. And I said, like a normal person, you don't get sick of that. If, you know,
I actually feel worse if I don't eat it.
Yeah.
He'll eat it for lunch if he doesn't have it for breakfast.
so my world was
Craved it.
colliding with people like you that was just like, I saw as very extreme, overly restrictive, maybe like, you know, tell myself things like, well, they're just obsessed with themselves, right? You hear all the excuses that I was making to be like, well, that's not for me because I know it sounds like a ton of work and it sounds awful.
I think the true thing though is that you don't know what it feels like until you've done it.
Right.
So my family is always making fun of me. You eat like a rabbit, just enjoy. They're all from Louisiana, so it's fried everything.
It's being the minority, which is very weird when you're trying to do
Yeah.
something beneficial.
But it's true.
Wait,
Yeah.
But it is like if you guys knew what your body would feel like when you stopped eating these things, you wouldn't either, right? Like I've lost the taste for soda and now I drink it and it tastes like syrup.
but I didn't know my palate could change.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I could go from soda to sparkling water to just water, right? I didn't know I can go from whole milk down to almond milk and like almond milk as much as milk. Like I did, that was something that I don't think a lot of people realize is your palate changes and then you get to become that person where you're like, you don't feel good when you don't work out, right?
Yeah, when we travel with our son for his hockey, I find we're so busy that we're going in and out of rinks and trying to do team lunches and all this kind of stuff. And then I need to get some like 20, 30 minutes of weights or I will just get super stiff. I'm getting older. And if I sit there in a cold rink and not move all day, that's going to make me feel worse.
You know, not very many people, when we're on a trip together, we're usually, there's maybe one or two other people from the team that are working out while they have time to do that, you know, which is fine. Like I said, everyone has a choice, right? You know, but we feel better, even if it's in a different state, a different time zone to work out, just to give your mental clarity, because I actually feel worse if I don't work out.
Well, and you taught me when I would call you out for not being normal and being a psycho. I'll never forget it.
That's why I don't do it a lot with people, because they think what you think. It's like I'm obsessive compulsive about something,
Right.
or it's narcissism. It's not about that. It's about teaching myself the priorities of what makes me happy, so I can be happy. So when I go home, I can be happy with her. I can be happy with my kids, because if I don't do it for treatment for myself, then it makes me almost like not angry, but it kind of ruins my day if I don't get to do it.
To be clear.
Yeah,
Well, do you remember what you told me when I said that's not normal? Do you remember what you?
probably not. No.
Well, you said I have.
Oh yes, I do remember now. Yeah.
What did you say?
I said I don't want to be normal. Being normal is easy. Anyone can be normal.
And he said it with, that was good. But you said it with more passion when you told me the first time, because I was like, it was like gospel to me. Like, he's just like, he was a little indignant. He's like, I don't want to be normal. I actually don't want to be average. That's not, I'm not here and getting this one shot at life to be average and normal. And I'm sitting there going, why am I so comfortable with it?
Yes. well, imagine this. Imagine, I'll just use my situation, playing football from 6 years old up to 21. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My whole dream was to go play in the NFL. And because of my concussions, which were kind of out of my control, that got shut down, which is fine, because I would never met Leslie and obviously gone the path we did. But it took a lot of strength. I had a lot of depression for like a year after that, because for 15 years, I had one pathway.
Right.
And I felt amazing at the time, but the doctor just said, hey, if you play this, bad things could happen to your brain for the longevity, So it was actually like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
So
When you said that, I instantly thought, obviously that's something that's becoming much more prevalent about how dangerous it is to play football.
Correct.
Right. So what is it about the concussions that you were having that they caught you early and they said, like, this is a real problem for you?
Well, because this is about the time when the NFL was changing.
It was. Okay.
Yeah. So have you ever seen the movie Concussion?
Yeah.
Will Smith?
Yeah.
That is the exact time frame of when.
Oh,
So when I watched that movie, it was like almost bringing me to tears, because it was like it kind of came full circle of what was going on.
Right.
And it was,
Validation, right?
A lot
well,
of his friends are involved.
because I've seen so many concussions that were never documented. My friends being knocked out, laying on the ground, crying, sleeping next to me, like on the bench, not knowing what's going on. So obviously
Going to
this
the
is
other bench,
the
like-
late 90s, when the research hasn't been done on the long-term effects of it. And so I told my son, like, I don't want you playing football because of all the stuff that I've gone through. I mean, I would never take back the experiences that I had playing football, but for the head trauma that I've had, thousands and thousands and thousands of concussions, I don't really know what I'm going to be like in the 60s and 70s when I'm, so.
For better or worse now.
Right.
What's more fun than caretaking?
Yeah, because when we were taught we were taught to go and just try to kill that guy across from me. That was the mentality. And obviously it's changed a lot, which is good,
Right.
And so, it's a hard situation to deal with, but obviously I had to deal with it, because the percentage of you making it to high school on a scholarship is very, very low. It's like 0.1%. Then going from a D1 school to the NFL is like even less than that. So to get the opportunity to do that, and someone basically says, you physically can't do it because of your previous
He
concussions.
had write-ups, and at that point, it was like, it's a liability because this is all coming out, and
They're about to get
lawsuits.
sued because of all that was
Yeah.
going on with the NFL. This is like early 2000s.
But
so
you
now-
went to men's school. You were top of our class. You were dean's list. Like, photographic memory here. Like,
so my brain was still somewhat good.
it was good. Yeah, it
Had
lasted.
not been knocked around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it obviously led me down a better path for longevity, which is good. Which is now, that's our lifestyle, is teaching our kids, obviously, first and foremost, because you don't have to follow what we do. We don't judge people, and that's why when you came to me,
Liars.
We feel like
They really don't. No,
but he did. You
I don't care. I never called.
right?
Yeah, what?
Bag of feathers.
Yeah, well, that was funny though. I called you a lot. I called you a lot worse.
You
never heard
put
me.
yourself in a position to be judged by Cade, so you invited the judge.
I mean, I don't cry myself to sleep.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is you said, look, this is what I'm dealing with, right? You decided to make the mental shift of, I want to change.
You have to.
I just, my curiosity had led me down a path where I was just, it's like, this many nerds can't be wrong. Like, if all these smart people are realizing that, okay, I can have all the money in the world and I can have the best family in the world, but if I'm not healthy, to what end? Like, where does that
Can't enjoy it.
right?
Right.
And it's hard to, again, I had to let go of all those preconceived ideas I have about who works out and why they work out. And you helped me break through that.
Well, and to the point of the mental exercise that working out is, you became a different person. You stopped tolerating other unnormal things in your life, or other normal things, and other normal things and average things in your life, and said, because I've had the discipline to do this, I can have the discipline to do that.
Absolutely. And it became, I read something where it talks about anchor habits, and it became that anchor habit where I'm like, I don't know if I can think of a better anchoring habit than working out in the morning first thing, because what does it do? It makes you go to bed early.
Mm.
So then you don't eat.
You don't overeat.
You're not eating the ice cream at night because you'll feel terrible, or you're not drinking or whatever the night before. It's making you get up early, so you're starting your day and when you're freshest and feeling your best. And I could go on and on, but the point is that one habit anchors all the other habits, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to teach our kids, and is that it's all in moderation. And you honestly, being active, I say this all the time, just move it or lose it. Like, you just have to do something to make you feel good. If you like Pilates, great, stay with that. As we get older, we need to add a little bit more weight. So if you want to walk and you love walking, add those fun little vests that they add, right? Like, add the ankle weights, whatever. But for your bones to be strong as we get older, and your muscles to be toned, which will get more calories burned, you have to put the demand on the body.
Right.
And it needs to be 5-6 days a week. Now, that can just be a walk, or it can be lifting weights, or it can be Pilates. It doesn't matter. If you want to go out and play hockey, that's something you love doing.
That's huge. When you said that it doesn't matter, I got hung up
Move it.
on I've got to find the right thing, right? And that's why I tried Orange Theory and CrossFit and basketball. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I did indoor soccer. I was trying all these different things. And in the moment, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe this isn't for me, right? And maybe I'll just, work out until the body breaks down, and I'll let it go. But I didn't. I kept trying things, and CrossFit wasn't for me, and that whole culture and Orange Theory kind of got boring. But everything did lead me back to strength training. So you started to talk about, as we get older, what happens? I mean, osteoporosis.
Yeah, your calcium depletes in the bone and your muscles get weaker. And so there's a lot of people that you don't have to wait or throw around a whole bunch of weights. Everyone's like, how much you bench?
Right.
It's not about that.
At all.
Well, like when you first met with me, I was like, I don't care how much you lift.
Yeah.
Just let me show you like what to do, because most guys have an ego, and if I'm lifting, let's say, more weight than you, they take it as I don't want to show up because I don't want to feel like inferior to this person.
And you taught me that your body doesn't know the weight, it knows the resistance.
Yeah, the tension that you're putting on it, So I was like, let me like I'm doing with my son now. Let me teach you how to do it the right way. Because you're not going to go there, because I've been doing it since I was 11, so it's been 30 plus years. You can't just go in there and expect to be like, know every machine, what they do, and like how to control the muscles. Because when I was explaining stuff to you, I was like, what muscles are you feeling?
Right. And you taught me. I did not realize that your quad has 4 muscles. He taught me what quad meant.
Yeah. You want to try?
He was so
He's like,
he was so mean to me.
You should have seen his eyes. He's like,
and then he's like,
I was
tomorrow,
today years old, kind of thing. Is that a bicep? What?
No, then he said, tomorrow we're going to talk about the tricep. I don't want to overwhelm you.
Yeah.
But
We're counting back.
Sounds like him. Yeah.
Doing math here, Joe. Bored doing math, so.
but
And
no,
you're putting the demand on the body. You need to do that to continue to move forward strong. But like it used to be, milk does a body good, and you have to drink milk. Okay.
especially for women, right?
Yes. Well, as perimenopause and menopause happens, that loss of hormones breaks down your calcium even more. So that's why you'll see that but you could do a lot of things with just body weight, just to start something. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I see a lot of people walking. That's great. And then as you get more comfortable with yourself and find a path, if you like swimming, great. That's great resistance.
But you said something I love, which is make it a 5 to 6, people, how many days, right? I do 6, but I think 5, but I think at least 5, right, of some sort of activity for an hour, which it could be yoga, light stretching, it can be a walk, it can be tennis, it doesn't matter, but making that your habit of like, no matter what, the world can be on fire, I'm going to work out for an hour every single day. And I love that. You're like, doesn't matter. Just keep looking for it.
Yeah. Terry Crews always said, I love him, the actor.
Oh, white chicks.
Yeah. Right.
That's
but he always said that it's just a habit. So he said, even if you don't feel like working out that day, just go to the gym.
Getting there is the hard
Sit there and do nothing that day. But at least you're still doing the habit. And one day, if you're just going to sit there, that's fine. When you go back the next day, you're like, okay, I'm ready now. Like it's just creating that habit. Yeah.
So this is kind of a story. So my dad never worked out, but he did physical labor his whole life. So he was always bigger than life to me, which he was. But when he retired, he stopped doing anything. Mm-hmm. His muscles just depleted. Mm-hmm. And I was begging him and pleading him, like, you have to do something. Mm-hmm. Until 2022, he he's big like me, and so imagine he's got big bones and he had no muscle. So he was walking to try and do some exercise. He fell, broke his knee, or he hit his knee on the ground, shattered his femur. Oh, okay. My mom called me, and I said, once he falls, I know what's going to happen. So that was on a Monday, and he died on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because his body was just shutting down because he didn't have the muscle or like the
Bone
cord
strength.
support it, you know? And so that just happened 3 years ago. And so now it's more like I have to work out just because
For your family.
if I fall, I obviously don't want to die or anything, you know, but you want to make sure that you can kind of keep your strength up so that this doesn't happen. You know, so I see people every single day that are younger than me,
Right.
that look 10 years older than me, you know, which is fine. And I'm just like, yeah, what's their birthday?
Seriously.
You know, so, but I do it for myself. She does it for us. We do it for our kids because we show them how important this is. And like you said, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the biggest guy around. You don't have to be the fastest. You just do something for you that makes you happy. Not everyone likes to work out and do weights. You know, I like to play hockey twice a week because it's something fun since I can't play football anymore. I do like to work out. We work out together a lot because we can push each other. So.
I think the social element is so interesting because you guys inspired me and my friend at work, Emily, to work out together because we just needed that accountability buddy. And she told me one day I couldn't go or we had to go at different times. And I was like, well, you could do the class and later I'll do this. And she goes, understand me right now. The only reason I'm going to the gym is to hang out with you. And I thought it was funny when she said it. I mean, I've been in the gym and like done stints not in the gym. And so I'm always kind of going back to it. But since I started working out with her, it's the accountability of having to be at her house at 5:30 in the morning and then to share it with her because she's just getting back into it. And so I know something
ground.
or yeah, exactly. And being able to teach it. But what would you say to that? Just the social aspect of it.
That so and that we go to Lifetime, right? And sometimes I wear big earphones because I only have time to talk to one person. I could be there for hours. Everyone
Joe.
is Joe for sure. But you start talking to somebody, and doesn't matter what you're talking about. The gym crew, the regulars, they're all very supportive, and we're all happy to see each other. And it's, whether it's just a fist bump walking by because you're like, they know, oh, yep, you're good. It's one of the, oh, how's the family? How was the trip? It is very social, sometimes too social.
I couldn't have ever imagined it would be so social.
It's so social. You have to like.
Is it
I
just
gotta
a
go.
Las Vegas Lifetime thing? Because
No.
I've been to Lifetimes in Utah and Arizona, and I don't see as
Orange
much
County was the same.
interaction.
Yeah. My
Toronto
best
was
friend's
the
in
same.
Denver. I can't get Scott out of the gym without him talking to 10 people. I'm like, "Dude, we gotta go.
Well, those are all people that are on the same pathway, right?
And it is amazing.
Those are your people for sure. Yeah.
How many times have you woken up, and you too, Ash, where whatever, the resistance comes, I don't want to work out, I don't feel great, and then you go meet a couple people at the gym, you have a couple conversations, and I walk out feeling so much better, right? Has that happened to you? Where you're come out,
I'm not as social as you are at the gym. I try to avoid eye contact by all means.
I'm gonna just do my
Yeah.
thing. So
But-
unless I see Joe on.
Working out with somebody and being on the same path together, I do feel like if you're trying to get into it, do it with somebody. Have an accountability partner.
I have multiple people. I love my own workouts, but I do have multiple people. One's about to deliver, so they're out. So I got to find another one to fill that slot. But do you know what I mean? Like there's different people that I love. My neighbor, I love to go walking with her. One of my friends, she was a rower in college, but she will only go to the gym if I go. So we meet up once a week and do that kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun. You catch up. Sometimes it's more therapy. I think the biggest thing with us is we've added the kids in and around their busy schedule. So it's usually a Saturday or Sunday, and they aren't like,
Not hugely resistant to it.
they're not resistant. And it's not like, you have to do this. I think people from the outside think we're a lot more strict. No candy, no sugar. I know you guys don't eat that. Like we feel like it's a little judgy, and I would rather have a soda than a drink at this point in my life. I just don't feel like I want to have that. And people are a little, why aren't you drinking, or why aren't you doing this? And honestly, because I want to get up, I want to enjoy my day. And as we're getting older, there is certain things that are going to affect us, the food, the alcohol, alcohol, the different things, and moving our body is going to help. But I think with the kids, that's the biggest thing, is bringing them in.
Yeah.
And this is just a normal thing.
Yeah.
That
Especially since now I know they're going through the prepubescent years. I know how to functionally lift compared to what I did back then.
To do
Putting more stress on the joints is not going to benefit them when they're
No.
trying to grow. You know, back then it was like, just try to move as much weight as you possibly could, because that's what you guys were doing at the gym. You know, when I was 12 years old, I'm going to the biggest guy in the gym and being like, hey, I have a question for you. How do I look like you when I'm like, you know, in 10 years? And so that was, I'm always asking questions, because if I see something that I want to learn from, I want to go and talk to that guy and be like, obviously I didn't know what he was probably doing on the other side of this besides working out, you know, the nutrition and probably other substance he was probably taking. But I felt that if I talked to the guy that I wanted to emulate and look like, eventually, possibly, if it was a possibility, they would give me good answers. And they really respected that I was a young kid trying to learn something. Because this ain't people, this is before the internet and everything else, you know? And so now, knowing we know about nutrition and health, we're teaching more functional lifting for our kids, because weights are not going to be beneficial when somebody's trying to grow.
Right.
You don't want to put more stress on the joints and cause joint problems.
Right.
but they know they have to eat, like food is fuel.
This
Um,
is one of the biggest things we
yeah.
contribute
They
to.
have to eat before, and then they have to eat after. And there's that window where they have to have protein, whatever meal. We're not weighing food. We're not telling them it has to be this. But my son had a teacher ask him, like, what are you eating? Or like somebody else, they were like, oh, your kids are the ones that eat cold chicken at lunch. Like, yeah, that's just normal. And how many hours did you spend meal prepping?
Like 2 or 3 every Sunday.
Yeah.
For them. 'Cause
That
I
was
want them to
and
eat
then
what we
Wednesday.
eat. And that's what we did ever since they were growing up. We gave them food that we would eat, so they would be accustomed to it.
I'm jealous,
They don't
honestly.
drink, they never drank juice before.
I
They don't
am.
do soda. They
Well,
drink,
like protein pumpkin pancakes, those are awesome. Or like
This
turkey
isn't-
balls.
It's not religious. This is just you.
it's our normal.
It's
right?
you two understanding from a very early age, being college athletes, always knowing your body, that we're going to give this gift to our children.
Well, in the science of how food
Mhm.
affects the body, when you know that, how do you put it out of your brain, right? Like, now I know when I eat this, my body's going to do this.
Right.
So this
Especially
makes it
like
much easier.
Get all hives, and we're like, "What'd you eat?" She's like,
Right.
"I didn't eat anything." I'm like, "Your face is red. Wait, something with red dye in it, or yellow dye, or blue dye, or whatever." it
She's
is."
good about it now.
Now she's
And
good about it.
there are a lot more products out there.
Right.
You know, but she helped me make the protein pancakes or muffins. She helped me make the muffins. She did it all.
Which all of her
Um,
friends steal from her because they love them so much.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So where do people start? Like, people see your example. They want to be like you. They want to learn from you. They want to raise their kids like you. But it does sound extreme. So where would you tell somebody to start if they're coming to you and saying, hey, I want to at least start to go in this direction?
Well, I'm kind of doing what you did, obviously. You know, I said, "What is your biggest vice?" You remember what you said when we first talked about it?
Ice cream and that?
It was sodas and ice cream.
Soda, yeah, soda. And I still
You drink a lot of soda, and I said, "Okay, well, let's try to limit that." And after a certain amount of time, when you have one, it's going to taste like chemicals.
You said it,
other
but too
than-
sweet. And I said, bull crap.
Yeah,
It'll always be delicious.
yeah.
And that's what my kids go through. We do this candy soda challenge that Ash knows about, where we pay them $1 a day. And at first I thought that's going to make our kids just sound like brats. You know, we get $365 a year, you know,
Not great.
and the best investment ever, because it did that exact thing.
Yeah.
Christmas rolls around and we let them have it for that week of Christmas. And so I go crazy. I go to the international market. I go to world market, and I buy all the candy from England and all this stuff that's fun. And
Better quality
they
anyways.
think they think they're excited for it too, right? I got to eat Maltesers and all this exotic candy. And then I'm kind of upset because there's a bite taken of it. They don't finish it. There's sodas in the fridge until New Year's, and I'm throwing it out. And they're looking at me like, I just don't like you guys.
Yeah.
Their palate is not meant for
No.
things that sweet. And so I look at them and go, okay, I gave you the gift that I wish I'd have had when my
Yes.
my mom would
Yeah.
soothe me with candy. I'm sure you can relate, Ash.
Yeah.
Big food is love family, for sure. My grandma would get upset. Oh, yeah.
So it's so
she's
hard
mad
to
if
make
you're not
these
eating
changes,
the
right?
food. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They make
It's just baby steps, though, and I think that people think it's a complete elimination diet, or you can't have any.
in the way they think.
don't go extreme.
Yeah.
No, and like honestly, I have done a protein shake and a cookie for dinner. That's just, you know what I mean. Like, I wanted to have a cookie. Why not? If the kids want to have dessert, it's Halloween. Obviously, Winter gave most of hers away because she can't have it. But if they want to have that, then go ahead, have your protein for dinner, and then choose some candies. And they don't go crazy. I always kind of also made my 2 rule, that go ahead, 2 is your max for that time. If you want to do it again, but I always said, yeah, go ahead, let's just have 2.
Yeah, it's like Oprah. You don't have
Moderation.
a whole sleeve of
Yeah.
Oreos. You can have
Yeah.
one Oreo.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a Brian Regan, the sleeve is a serving size kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what I love, pivoting a little bit, is that you've brought this holistic approach to lifestyle and medicine to your guys' practice, which you run together. How's working with your spouse to create a business?
That's probably the number one question.
I know.
Not the time, but so we met in school.
Day 1.
She worked at a practice in Newport Beach when we were in California. I worked in Huntington. And so when we moved to Vegas, we decided we wanted to grow with life. And obviously living in California was very expensive. And the lifestyle was just something that 2 people coming out of school that were in debt could probably not afford. So coming to Vegas, not know anybody, open up a practice was terrifying, but, and this is 2008, 2009, when the banks weren't lending anybody any money because the crash just happened. And we had no basically history of anything. So no one took a chance. So we had to take money from family. So imagine you have 6 months of overhead to cover. That's all you have. That's it.
That's all we got.
And we don't have any kids. And so if I lost her parents' money or my parents' money, it'd be really hard to go home and just be like, sorry. So we kind of took the athletic mentality is I want to be on the first string. I don't want to sit on the bench, which is obviously we're talking about being normal. And we need to make this work or else we don't have a plan B, right? So we covered our overhead in 3 months, which was hard. Hit the gyms, talk to people.
We cut door hangers and got kicked out of neighborhoods for sorry, we'll leave now. Trying to hang door flyers. Yeah.
It was definitely I took it as the ultimate challenge because obviously I could never go and be like, sorry,
But I
mother-in-law, I lost all.
I know. No, I think us working together was a natural thing. I treat more pregnant women. He does trauma and athlete and PKD ratings. And so I take all of the financial backing stuff. I helped my dad with his real estate. Yeah. And so I think I was able to kind of jump into that role. And he's more kind of out with other people in the community, especially when I had young kids. Yeah. And so his strengths were my weaknesses his strengths.
Oh, that's awesome.
My strengths is whatever.
You've had people that would say, how can you work with your wife? And I was like, well, you really don't see it that much and we're building something together as like a family, right?
Yeah,
and
that's motivating, right? You guys are working towards the same goal.
Not it's the wrong thing. It works for us, because we like each other. We've been friends before this whole thing even happened. So it's not like it's changed anything. And now we're building a life together as a business as well as besides a marriage and kids and everything.
Yeah, we've had this business for 17 years. We've been married for 19. We've known each other for 23, 22, whatever. And I think that as we take on these midlife challenges and growths,
we're going to talk about that.
Yes, but we, as a couple, ours was friends for 1.5 years. We were friends. When we finally told people we were dating, they were like, "I thought you already were." Like because we did everything together. So we kind of grow like this, but we can't keep on coming back together. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is we're a completely different person than we were now versus in our 20s, but we've had a mutual love and respect through it all. We just went to the Adam Sandler concert together and enjoyed that and, had the kids set up with somebody at home. So it's allowed us to sometimes when you're out at dinner is the only thing where you're like, okay, stop talking about business, right? I think that's the only thing.
Check out,
You're not married to the same profession. It can be definitely difficult if you're not kind of engaged in kind of the conversation. What's happening?
But we geek out on patients. Like it's fun to talk about cases.
Go back to the midlife challenge. What does that mean?
So, well, I know what she's done. Obviously, she'll kind of tell you what she gets. Her friends will say, hey, do you want to go do a fitness competition? It starts in 2 weeks.
But you're playing off instead of midlife crisis. Is something you came up with?
No, it just if somebody, especially having young kids, we have a boy and a girl, and the boy is super sporty, but he also is very empathetic and compassionate. And our daughter is super girly, but will be the first one to get you in a headlock. So I think they're really good mixes. So if somebody asks me to start playing hockey, sure, let's do it. Somebody wants me to trade those hockey skates in for 6-inch stilettos and walk across the stage, sure. Like I like to not reinvent, but have a challenge and something to work for. So when you are going to the gym and you're not as motivated, it'll give you something like the Spartans. I had a knee surgery because of my skiing. And how many weeks after knee surgery, I did the Spartan, the mud one.
Oh,
Right? Yeah.
I need those markers for
But
a.
it's fun.
That's huge.
Because working out can get obviously monotonous and kind of boring. You know? So
Absolutely.
you might have some of a goal you're trying to get to. You know?
Yeah, I got to tell more that
Accountability
you're a
partner.
marathon.
Yeah, well, like I said, when I did my first show, I told Leslie when my son was about to be born, I was like, I want to do a show before he's born because it's gonna be obviously really crazy, you know. And so I did my first fitness show just to do it because I want to see if I could do it because I've been on the other side of the spectrum, which is obviously very large and football type shape.
Sports.
Now it's the other end spectrum is like how lean can I get to see if I can walk on stage and see how I do. I didn't care what place I got, but I did that. And then obviously she got hers and she got nominated or she got asked to do it by one of her friends who was an ex-fitness model. And she had 2 weeks to prepare, got second place, which is obviously you have to be very focused when you're doing that, you know? And then obviously got nominated to do Mrs. Nevada and did that and then went and won that, which was like, I'm kind of sick of her nominating because everything she's doing, she does very well, which is great to see her just keep progressing when she gets a challenge, you know, versus a crisis where like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? It's like, what can I accomplish next? You know, and we get involved too because I'm helping her. Let me work on your nutrition. Let me train you in a way that's going to help you so you don't have to focus on
Right.
everything, right?
Well, and it's just like a mindset of I'm going to scratch the same itch of reinvention, right? Without blowing up my life in the meantime.
Yeah, and I mean, not that you need to go look for challenges. You guys are not, or you're running your own business in Las Vegas, and I want to ask you, your chiropractor. So let's talk about your chiropractic facility. What are 3 things that drive you crazy that people think chiropractic is or does or will kill you? Like, I mean, what are the things where you're constantly having to explain to people, this is not true. You don't have to treat for life or whatever people think, or it's not going to actually make you paralyzed. What are those things that you run into? And what would you tell people?
There's probably a lot more than 3. No.
We'll do the sound one.
Yeah, a lot of people are afraid of the noise, obviously. You know,
What is the noise?
so the noise is just the pressure releasing from the joint. It's like, so every joint is like encapsulated with pressure. You know, it just allows you to move with synovial fluid. And so when you pop your knuckles, you know that noise it'll make. The spine will make the same
there
noise.
you
It's,
go.
you know,
Yeah,
after about
ASMR.
20 to 30 minutes, it's going to regenerate, and that's why people can do it multiple times.
Is there any therapeutic benefit to hearing the sound, or is it simply just an effect of the
I
adjustment?
think it's a byproduct of what we're trying to do because I don't chase like the noise. I feel with my hands what I'm trying to get to because I'm a big person. If I really wanted to get something to move, I obviously could. Is it going to be beneficial to the person? Probably not, you know, but I don't work on like a lot of babies or children because I do have big hands, but she's really good at it because it's a different type of adjustment. And you don't have to get it like a cavitation or
No, it's
off
a
of,
fingertip and it's like, don't bruise a tomato kind of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that's a little bit different. Same with pregnant women. There's certain areas you avoid and certain areas you want to work on more because their center of gravity is changing every week, right? I think the biggest thing is people have seen a lot of movies and Van Damme.
There's a lot of jokes being made about chiropractors, obviously, you know, which is fine, but there's so many different types of chiropractors in Las Vegas and like the world.
How many different types?
Oh gosh.
There's way too, so you could
I'd say at
be,
least over probably 100 probably different types.
but there's,
chiropractic.
different adjustments. So there's like a DNFT, which is non-directional force technique, and you're basically more aura, right? So you're just kind of doing this thing. And so it's more aura and it's more outside. And then you have sacral occipital technique, which is talking about your occipital bones and your sacrum and how that all works together. You also have people that just do HIO, which is the COC1 at the very top of your spine, and do that adjustment because that's where everything starts. I think for us, our school was diversified is the technique we use, which is a little bit of everything. So I do a lot of wrists. There's 8 little bones in your wrists. And if you are doing kind of a push-pull movement, a lot of those things can get shifted. If you fall on your hand, if you're doing a lot of computer work, they can get pulled on. People that are diagnosed with sciatica or carpal tunnel, those are often misdiagnosed. We hear those words all the time, but carpal tunnel can come from the neck, it can come from the axillary, it can come from the muscles, or it can actually come from the bones in the wrist. So I think people are misdiagnosed often when those things happen. So that's frustrating. If someone keeps treating the same way all the time. Like, I'm just going to adjust your wrist and not address the rest of the body. If someone comes into me with an injury, I'm going to always look above and below. If you have a hip pain, let's look at your knee, let's look at the way you're walking, and let's look at your mid back, because the body will shift.
Right.
There's another common misperception that you're treating the pain when in reality you're correcting, like you're trying to actually correct the spine, and then that will leave it.
Like Western medicine is more
Like pain is
versus
right.
trying to find the pain gen.
Pills.
Cause.
You know, and that was the biggest thing. Like, whether I was going to be a medical doctor or like a chiropractor, I really wanted to focus on, okay, education wise, we're very similar. You know, medicine's going to go towards pharmacotoxicology and other types of avenues, which they're teaching. Chiropractic is going to go into, which is obviously drugs and stuff like that. Chiropractic is going to be more about the nerves, the muscles, how does the body
Functionality.
function,
For X-ray, radiology.
and then where's the pain coming from, so we can hopefully go to the root of the problem and fix that without any external stuff like painkillers or any type of anti-inflammatory type. So let's treat where it's coming from versus treating the symptoms of it. And so learning from the ex-baseball player, that's what really kind of got in my head. I was like, oh, I mean, my parents would, if they had a headache, they would take ibuprofen or Tylenol or Advil, right? It could be just a problem coming from the neck, you know, learning what we learned in school, you know? And so chiropractic, for the general public, I understand their frustration, because if they're looking for a certain type of doctor for chiropractic, they need to know what they're looking for when they're calling offices, because there's so many different variations. It's not like you're going to see a primary care doctor, which they all very similar in what they do. But if this guy over here is doing a certain technique that you have no idea what they're doing, and you want to get adjusted, like, well, I don't really do those type of adjustments, you're going to be like, well, what am I paying for, right? You know?
So how would you explain to people what you guys do, what type of office you are?
Yeah, we do evidence-based, science-based. We do a lot of chiropractic biophysics, which is based on your x-rays, and your structure is how we're going to address these muscles, bones, joints, and ligaments. And so we're not looking at, okay, I have leg pain, that's great. Let's look at your knee, let's look at your hip, let's look at your gait, the way you're walking, and go from there and try to figure out what the root problem is.
I can actually speak from my experience of going to your guys' office. I've gone to multiple chiropractic offices, and there are some where you go in and you do the same thing every single time, kind of regardless of whatever's wrong with you. I'm run through the same things. Every time I've gone to your guys' facility, it has been, what are the issues that are happening? And I've never done the same thing twice. It's been very calculated modalities for the issue that I'm there for, and then maybe trying different things, you know, the next time.
Yeah,
Or
'cause everyone,
sending you home.
even though we're all built the same, obviously we respond differently to different things. So chiropractic is not the only way to treat something. You know, if acupuncture works, or let's say medicine works for you, I'm gonna be the first person, or should be the first person to tell you, like, I can't help you, but let's get you to the person that's gonna be able to fix the problem. You know,
Or maybe you need it. We have x-ray on site, but maybe you need an MRI.
Yeah.
We're not against surgeries and medications, but let's have them as a last resort. Let's try this first. Same with, we touched on nutrition. We're not against taking, you know, a cholesterol medication, but if you could try a couple foods first to lower your cholesterol, would you do that? It's kind of the same thing.
so imagine this: she doesn't eat red meat or pork, but she has elevated cholesterol. She's had since she was young. So we decided, okay, they wanted to put her on like a statin drug, and we're like, no, let's try nutrition. So I was like, the only thing she's eating that's like has fat in it would be like eggs, you know. So
Did they put you on a red rice yeast pill?
I'd try that, but they all have red
40 diet,
40.
you know. So
Well, that's in my body.
You know.
Find it.
so when we start, let's start,
Yeah.
let's flip that.
That is a good
Her
one.
OB was like, we need to put you on this. We're like, well,
At
pump the brakes-
29.
pump the brakes
Yeah,
for a second. Let's
right.
see if we can change it naturally before we just start putting drugs in your system.
And I'm guessing you
know?
did.
Yeah, it's still at a higher level. But yeah, I did as much as I could with nutrition. I still have not gone on medication. But that's something that obviously it's genetic, that my body, like, you wouldn't think that I have that, but it is. And that's just is what it is. But that's where we're trying to treat the body as a whole and treat the root cause of things. Like you said, every single time's going to be different. I work a lot on teen athletes, and they're growing and going through puberty. And so if they had low back pain one time, they could have knee or hip or any other things going on. I'm not just going to, okay, last time we adjusted your low back, let's do that again.
Yeah.
So I think addressing each problem
Yeah.
is how we are a little bit different. Again, very science evidence based on how we're doing that. And if there's any kind of trauma or new accident, we always take our x-rays to make sure we do our due diligence. I have had a patient that came in for the first time, and no, never had any accidents or surgeries. And, let me just look at that neck. I'm just take a quick picture. Oh yeah, I have a fusion.
Oh, geez.
I stepped on by a horse when I was a kid. So had I not
That wasn't relevant though.
Yeah, right. But had I not done the due diligence, so I can adjust above and below that, but there would be no reason for me to try. And
Right.
so I think that every single time you come in, you're at a different phase of life. Maybe you've been sitting for the last 6 months when you used to be out and about walking around more often.
Right.
So yeah, you have to address it differently every single time.
Yeah. You guys also have more tools in your facility than I've seen in others. Like, what kind of things are you guys
That's
using?
the diversify.
When I was in California, the doctor I was working with when I first came into school, he did a lot of car accidents, and so we were doing like a lot of x-rays on everybody to kind of see what the problems were from like whiplash injuries. And I was like, all these people kept having the same ailment, like their neck was completely straight like this after a car accident, and it should have like a natural 20 to 40 degree curve in it. And so I was looking, and he had like this little traction device that you would lay on and pump it full of air and stuff. And I'm like,
What is traction? Just so
traction is like decompression. So whenever you get into like, whenever you have trauma to the neck or the back, the muscles shorten, kind of like, when you're working out, you're shortening them to kind of get them to grow. So when you have trauma where they originate and they end, the muscle bone in the middle will start to pull this way. So when you're after a car accident, let's use that, your head goes forward and backwards at a high velocity. When you try to go forward, your muscles are not allowing it to go because they're hypertonic or spasming. Okay.
Protection.
The curve goes from this to this pretty much instantaneously after a car accident.
from the natural curvature to straighten.
Yes, because when you're sitting in a car, unless you're tall like me or like you, usually your head to go forward and backwards at a high velocity. And what that does is these muscles are attached to the bones in the neck. And when the head goes forward at a high velocity, the muscles don't have time to react, and they pull the curve out of the spine. It happens like that. Right? Okay. The problem is it'll never go back from this to this. It's impossible unless you apply pressure to it. So think of it as
It'll stay in that straighter.
And the weight of the head will
takes
make
force
it
to go
work.
from here to here. Okay. So imagine your kids obviously had braces, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So they're moving bones over time. They have to apply pressure to them. Okay. The only way to do that is to apply pressure to it to push it back to its original state.
Okay.
I can't take your neck and just push it back. It works. It's impossible. So chiropractors say they can like create the curve back in the neck by adjustments only. It doesn't work that way. You have to apply pressure. And so I was looking online back then to kind of see what devices can get the curve from this back to this, because this is going to cause a lot of arthritis and degeneration to happen at a very early age. Okay. And it didn't really exist to the point where I wanted it to. So I was talking to a buddy of mine and then a buddy of his who was like a mechanical engineer. And so we designed this traction unit or decompression table to correct the curve back to its original state. So which is huge, because just because you're not in pain doesn't mean there's not a problem. So when we take an x-ray of somebody from the very beginning and we can say, hey, my neck is like this, it should look like this. And let's say they're 25 years old.
And you're saying it should always have that natural edge shape curvature?
If you look to the side of a person from the side, if they were completely straight like this, we'd all be like very robotic.
Why is that important? Is that for flexibility and mobility?
No, because
if
you look at a bridge, bridges are mostly curved. All right. So when you have something that's curved, when it sets into each other, the weight is distributed evenly over each.
Right. You have that keystone or
brittle, so it'll fall down, right? So if your neck is straight like this, all the weight of your head is going to be usually on one or two.
It'll pivot at one segment.
So
Yeah.
if you got a big head like me, it's a lot of weight, a lot of brain.
No, it's big.
So what's going to happen is usually the C5, C6 vertebrae is going to be compressing over time, kind
Middle.
of taking a vice and slowly turning it. And obviously with posture, with everyone like this, it's going to start to degenerate, and the body adds more bone there because bone is strong to support it. The problem is when you see an x-ray, let's say 5 or 10 years down the road, you're like, were you in a car accident? You're like, yeah, like 5 years ago. All these bones look completely normal except for the two.
Well, yeah.
These big bone spurs on them. So something happened previously that they didn't address. Well, they told me they fixed it. Well, they fixed your pain, but they didn't fix your problem.
Okay.
So traction
The
is
body adapted to this new version of you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right.
the
Yeah.
traction is
Yeah.
pulling the spine apart, I guess. You're just like pulling up on it. Again, gravity, like if you want to measure your height, do it at the beginning of the day, because at the end of the day, you're just dehydrate just a little bit. But as our 14-year-old son, as he's growing, he's every morning. But
I am
just much taller. Yeah. So traction is just, and decompression is kind of the idea of pulling those bones with the discs in between them apart to give you some relief. What he's talking about, the machine that we developed in the Halo, that
Corrects the problem.
it also adds, based on x-rays, So they're pulling the head straight up, and then you're adding a curve into it.
Creating the curve back in the neck, which takes anywhere from 12 to 20 visits to do that. Then you can re-extrim at the very end and kind of get it back in that normal zone, which is
12 to 24 visits.
yeah, because you can't fix it once it just happened, because you got to get them out of pain first. It's like if I roll my ankle playing football or soccer, I don't know, go walking every day. It's not going to get better. You got to get the inflammation out first and then fix the problem. You see?
Like braces on teeth, you need them for 2 years because teeth don't have muscle memory. That's why you also need the retainers and stuff, right?
To keep
Well,
there.
yeah. So the spine is full of muscles that we can retrain. So when you come into our office, there's a little exercise area. People are doing neck exercises or low back exercises. Then they go onto the traction machine that helps put that curve based on their x-rays into the neck. And then they do adjustment and therapy. And then we'll send you home with some exercises to stretch or strengthen certain muscles to hold that new structure in place. So we can retrain the muscles around the spine, whereas the difference with teeth, you can't.
And you've been on the machine,
Right.
When I was a team chiropractor for like team tap out, they loved it because they were always like the UFC guys. They were getting punched and choked out, and their necks were just getting jacked up,
They have neurological issues.
Yeah, so they're losing strength in their hands and stuff because their profession is them fighting, right? So if they're having problems where they're weak or they're slow, that could be them getting knocked out or something happening without having the reaction and stuff, So in 2008, we built it, and my dad actually built the machine, which is pretty cool because he's an art actor. So I said, "Can you make this?" He's like, "I can make anything. It's metal, And so
It's a tank.
and now we've treated what 18,000 probably car accidents in the last 19 years or something like that, or 17 years, So which is crazy because I build things where I want. We treat people that we want to be treated. All people want is answers. Can this be fixed? If it can't be fixed, I'll be the first person to tell them. But let's if we can't fix it, let's try to stop it from progressing so that eventually you're not going to need a surgeon. Because once you get to a point where these are fused together as issues, I can't help you with this problem. It's going to go, you're going to see somebody else, which is hopefully not getting cut under the knife.
And after that 12 to 24 visits, then it's just a maintenance. Like you maintain your bar, maintain your body. But it could be once every 3 months, once every 6 months. It depends on your body and how it kind of holds and what you were doing. In the same respect with car accidents, I have a lot of pregnant women or nursing women or people that work on computers all day. And they're
what do you
completely
recommend for that?
straightening.
Because my back and neck are rough, and I've just been like this for 20 years. And so, yeah.
So there's like we get into these things where it's upper cross and lower cross. So upper cross syndrome is basically you get tight and weak muscles in different areas, and they're fighting each other all the time and pulling on each other. The body will find a way to work forward until it's straw that broke the camel's back. And all of a sudden,
that's when you see those old people and you can't almost believe how forward they are.
But not even old. Someone will call me and they're like, okay, so I'm laying on the ground. I know I was supposed to call you like 2 months ago, but like, can you help me? And that's where it's hard for us because the body is so inflamed, but you got to maintain your body if you're putting demands on it. Yeah.
Well, should people just be seeing a chiropractor for the simple reason that we're all driving and at our desks and hunched over our phones? I mean, is that something where you'd recommend just regular maintenance for that?
Yeah, definitely maintenance, because obviously just think of us as kind of like mechanics for the body, right? So not everyone needs to be adjusted. So that's the biggest caveat. Everyone's like, I don't want to get adjusted, or it's going to hurt me. And I was like, okay, well, I have so many different tools.
Yeah, the activator. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's a little activator gun.
And that we use that for mostly like children or like older people, because obviously I don't want to disrupt anything. You want to make sure you try to fix them without causing more problems, because obviously me being a bigger person, we want to make sure that we're fixing something, not creating something that's going to grow into something bigger, right? So if you're a chiropractor and you have like, I need year-long plans, that's obviously a red flag for
it's not a gym membership, because your life is going to be different every single time. It's the demands you're putting on your
body. The more active you are, obviously the more stress you're putting on your body. So Joe would come in and get adjusted whenever he's doing one of his events or marathons or whatever he's doing.
Your challenges.
Yeah, your
There you go.
My midlife challenges.
You know, a lot of those.
So, but it's just like there's this to find the right one. Figure out what you need per person is what I'd recommend. Because like I said, we have stuff built for everybody, but some people might want something different than what we provide. But like I said, I really like trauma because I've played sports my whole life, and I've caused a lot of trauma to other people from playing sports, and I've fixed a lot of stuff that I've dealt with myself.
Karma, you're getting back good karma.
I'm trying to make up for all the fun.
Every spine you broke.
Football, all the spines I shattered and concussion.
Yeah, I think to have a baseline to start at, and you said it before, when you're in it's not the same kind of thing
Yeah.
every time. And that's something that you got to find someone who's evidence-based, looking at it differently every single time you come in. Plans shouldn't be the same your entire life. We're doing different things. So someone who's
have
going to
models. That's not our model. You know, they have those places where you can go and just get adjusted and you're done. That's which is completely fine. But I mean, that's not what we want to provide to people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want to make sure that people get what they pay for. And obviously, if they have a correctable problem, we want to fix that because a lot of people don't even know they have it. I see probably 90% of the people that we have
until they're laying on the
have
ground,
X-ray-
college.
Yeah, or
That's me.
you know,
Those times.
they never had an X-ray done before after a trauma. I'm like, they never X-rayed you. How do you know like what the problem is? You know,
Yeah.
like your neck is completely jacked up. Like, oh, well, they didn't tell me. I was like, it's, you know, they're not going to tell you that because maybe they don't study the same stuff that we studied, right? You know, and
But we
so-
could send you home with like different exercises and stretches. Like, hey, you might want to work on, did I ever do like the rhomboid?
No.
The thumb upside down, that one. Yeah. So that's really hard for people because people are so focused on working on chest in the gym. So try to get them to do the little muscles in the back, like the middle triceps or the rhomboid is hilarious because they can't even hold their arm up.
Well, isn't that so important? Because I went down the rabbit hole of how do I correct this rolled shoulder? And Cade's like, that's all pulls. That's all.
That was the first thing I noticed about you in the gym.
You did make me feel very good when you said my posture was night and day.
yeah.
It all of a sudden, it was like he was standing different. His shoulders were rounded. He was starting to get some muscle tone.
Which I really appreciate because
Pools.
I don't
That's
know.
what that is. I
Well, like rowing type stuff.
Yeah.
I think 'cause everything we do is inflection, right?
Right.
Down, especially being tall like me. Everything is looking down on usually on people because I'm taller than them. But the biggest thing in a not a negative way.
Sure.
Physically and judgmentally.
I'm not kidding you.
But I came to learn from talking to orthopedic surgeons that rounded shoulder, it's not just that it doesn't look great, it's also
Tight.
It's narrowing that space and causing all that shoulder impingement
Yeah.
issues when people talk about pain in the front of the shoulder. So often it's because you don't have those back muscles to pull back your scapula and retract
That's-
your
That's
your
that
chest.
upper cross syndrome, right? So you get really tight, weak muscles, really tight muscles here and weak in the back.
Yeah.
And so you have to open those up. So taking home different exercises to stretch and strengthen. Just because there's pain doesn't mean that you need to work on that area. Maybe you just need to stretch it,
Yeah.
you know?
But
So
that letting go of the vanity muscles, the quads, the abs, the front, and hitting the posterior chain, the rear half of your
you
body.
can't spot crane.
Yeah.
It's a whole body thing,
Yeah.
right?
As kids are getting it so bad nowadays because they're always on their phones or on like they're all like
Right.
this, right? And so even people, I'm like, man, your posture is just not, and especially with women, because women, especially going through puberty, their joints are a lot looser and their muscles just start pulling. They get these really rounded shoulders, and it's just, it's going to cause them a lot of problems in the future, you know, which is what we want to try to avoid. you know?
Okay.
And so they might not even be in pain, but I was like, if you look at somebody, you can kind of be like, I'll be seeing you for the next, unless you change.
What? You think if you're doing all the computer work and then you go try to throw a football, like
Yeah.
those muscles are a mess. They're not.
My shoulders are awful in the gym.
Yeah.
Like it's the number. I could do anything else,
Baseball.
but just
We
don't
have-
make me do a shoulder.
we can bring in and see what
Yeah.
your stretches and
I love it.
exercises are. Yeah.
Love it. Well, this has been an amazing conversation with you guys.
Thanks for having us.
You truly are just an inspiration to me when I see you guys out and about and everywhere because you live a holistic life. It sounds like you very intentionally got to where you are, but we are attorneys on accident, and we like to ask everybody, do you feel like you got to where you are on accident, preordained, very intentional?
I think it's kind of a mixture of everything. Obviously, you have your one pathway where you think, and then obviously there's a little roadblocks. So you got to kind of figure your way around it, you know?
Yeah.
I think things happen on accident, but could be a positive. Obviously, the ways how you spin it, you know? But I knew what I wanted to do when I was 14, and my son's 14 now. He's like, how'd you know you wanted to do that? And I kind of explained to him. He's like, I don't know how I want to be. I was like, I'm not asking you to. I was like, you have to find something that you're passionate about, that you want to do, that's going to help people down the road. If that's what you really want to do, help people. Because or find something that people need and fill that void, which is why we built the Halo Traction, because I know that people needed it, whether they thought they did or not. And it's helped so many people hopefully not get surgery or prevent them from having long-term like medical problems, you know?
Yeah.
So for us, mine's kind of an accidental on purpose type thing. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not sure about.
I think reinventing yourself, but for fun, not because you have to or anything. I had this conversation with a woman the other day that, you know, since probably around grade 8, I've been a around 20 pounds, give or take, but very different composition. I mean, there's times where we had the big chubby heads and, there's a good photo. We'll put it out there. But there's things like that where you just kind of go through and again, just come back into, okay, I got to settle down. Give yourself grace though. Allow yourself to enjoy the holidays and the time with family and the cookies and the sweets and whatever. But for the most part, the 80-20, right? You're living your life intentional.
Cade and Leslie Smith, I'm going to leave you with a quote. Okay. A fit body, a calm mind, and a house full of love. Those things cannot be bought. They must be earned. Congratulations on earning those. Kudos. And for inspiring not just me, but my kids and my kids' friends. My friends. You've changed bloodlines by introducing the gym to me and helping me overcome my fears and my fixed mindsets about what working out is. I know even Ash working out with Emily, the office manager for Blackburn Worth. Indirectly, that's because you were willing to take the time to mentor me and let me follow you around with a little leash behind you in the gym and kind of poking over your shoulder and like, what are we doing next? And
Joe brought the jokes.
Yeah.
But congratulations, seriously, on earning the 3 most important things in life. And thank you for spending time with us. I know that I've learned a ton and Ash has, and hopefully our listeners as well. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it's fun.